Hello everyone, and welcome back to coverage of Grand Prix Yamabuki for the Revolution format. I'm Caillou, and today we're going to be watching the round 2 match between Plipster, who is on MonoBlue Tempo, and Epid, who is on Naya Midrange. I'm also joined on commentary today by Dodger, who is actually the one who has been piloting Naya Midrange in the first GP, and also brewed up the list in the first place. So it's going to be cool to have
Hey,
his
what's up?
insights on the deck. So
Yeah,
looking
I
at the
did
die
play this
rolls, it looks
matchup
like. Oh,
in
sorry, go ahead.
Grand Prix Tennis. I mean, you did have some discussion about it in the channel already. The general prevailing opinion seems to be that Naya is favored, which I think is true, but there's some contention about exactly how favored Naya is. One thing we can agree on is that the signature card of Naya, which is Wilderkin Behemoth, is very difficult for Flipster's deck to deal with. So we'll have to see how many copies of that Epid can find and how many they can resolve quickly.
And I think that this makes sense as a keep for Plipster. You want maximum, and like you really only need two lands for the deck to function, and having both a bounce off and a seal of approval as counter magic that can actually take down an early Wilderkin is quite good. And seal as the only threat is a little sus, but I think you take what you can get. Is how I feel
Yeah,
about
I
it.
mean, like this is fine. You can just hold up your 2 mana counter spells, and then if you get the chance to slip in the seal, you just do it. I will say Plipster is really hoping to draw lands because I think, unlike a lot of tempo decks, Plipster's deck is actually fairly mana hungry. It draws a lot of cards. It's looking to finish off with the game with stuff like Starved Oasis. It's got mana sinks like Persuasive Orator. It's got
Or
bounce
even
offs with
the
Embrace of Ending
backside of
Frost.
bounce off. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Plipster would definitely be disappointed if they didn't hit their third land drop here. Um, Unlike a lot of other tempo decks, which don't actually mind as much. But
Mm. I think it
Epid
also it
seems to
depends
be
on like what
doing
Plipster is
some.
drawing instead of it, because I think that the removal spells are not going to be as gas in this matchup, is my gut feeling.
Yeah.
While
Okay, so Epid, this is an easy mulligan,
yeah,
obviously.
it's literal zero lander.
Yeah.
You hate to see
Um,
it.
I'm not sure how I feel about Runic Sealer in this meta. I think, given with the nerfing of the combo decks, I feel like Runic Sealer is not main deckable anymore. It's just me.
Yeah, especially for a deck like Naya, where it's really you
Hmm.
can go over the top of your opponents fairly trivially, or no, yeah,
Okay, so
like Naya
yeah.
doesn't really care about control that much, which is the other place where
So this
Runic is quite
is
good.
this is a pretty solid hand. It's got Wilderkin in it. It's got all three colors. It's got
Yeah,
threats you can cast on curve.
I kind of
Um,
feel like you throw the sealer to the bottom, and then you keep your
you
triple
could get rid of
lands.
either the Sealer or the Realize. I
Hmm.
think I would probably keep the Realize here, but I
Yeah,
could see
I think
arguments
the
for
realize just in case you like realize really ensures that you will hit your fourth land. You can also go
yeah.
like secluded farmland, turn
Yeah,
one.
to be clear, I think playing Realize here is Troll on turn one, because you've got a 2 drop that needs white mana. So
Uh, so you want
I
to play the
feel like
Pilgrim's
you'd want to
Trail.
guarantee that by playing your Pilgrim's Trails on turn one. Okay, so Epid opted for sending Realize away, which I think is fine because this way actually guarantees you have a 3 drop to play on turn three as well, so you get to like
Mm.
kind of curve out.
And Sealer off of
Whereas,
the peak
yeah,
from Arbiter is like a pretty devastating.
yeah,
Mm.
that's actually like the scenario where Sealer is good because then you can meddling mage them actually having seen their hand. So yeah, definitely not a bad choice
Mm.
by
And
Epid,
there's
I
the
think.
fourth
Okay, so
land
we
for
have
Epid. Is going to be able to cast
yeah
Wilderkin Behemoth on curve.
yeah. So you have like kind of a nice scenario where the 3 color Dex mana worked out pretty much perfectly, um, which is not always the case, obviously. Feels good when that happens. Okay,
And yeah,
so
this is
Flipster is
definitely the
gonna
scenario where
pass.
missing the third land means not being able to play Silverarm Spellblade, which is kind of
Yeah, I mean, I have to imagine Flipster is going to counter, at the very least, the Cyberscan Arbiter. I don't know if you counter the Runic Sealer.
yeah. A blind Runic Sealer
You
is a
probably
lot
do.
worse. So
Okay, so you got a Jade Champion up the top, which is like fine. It's pretty likely that Epid will have the fifth land by the time it's time to play it. So, yeah, just
mhm.
a pretty solid curve. Two,
Yeah,
three, four, five.
it's a literal perfect
Nothing to
curve at
complain
this
about here.
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Arbiter gonna
Okay,
come
so we've
down.
got the Arbiter coming down. Yeah, I mean, there's very little chance this should resolve. I imagine you use Bounce Off here. Like, actually, no. Maybe you just use
I
Crush
think yeah,
Cones
I think
here,
you
but
save the bounce off for some of the more expensive 5-drop threats. So
yeah,
you
yeah,
want
you're
the
right.
cursory glance here. Hmm.
Yep. Okay. Flipster
Yeah.
misses the third land, so definitely not happy about that. Yeah.
Hmm. And these are kind of like if this was more counter magic, you could kind of be fine with this. But I think these are kind of awkward draws from where Plipster's sitting on the table.
See, if you're Plipster, you're actually fine with the game like this, with the one exception that you really hope your opponent doesn't have the Wilderkin Behemoth, because again, there isn't really a good answer to that in Plipster's deck. Um, and we know that Epid does, so I think Plipster missing that land drop is kind of just a death sentence, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not sure
I
what
don't know.
is.
I don't really see them being able to outrace it. Um,
They could. I mean, they can double block with Silver Arm plus Seal, and like you've
that's
two
gonna
for
be
one
hard to do.
yourself.
Yeah.
You've two for one yourself, but
Like, I mean, there.
you've
I'm
answered
not
it.
saying there aren't outs, but the number of outs went down by quite a bit
And the
with that
problem
fifth
is
land
like
drop.
if Epid ever lands the Jade Champion, they can search up Ascendance Peak, which
Hmm.
is just which wins them the long game. Burning Dawn also recurs itself. It's like yeah, and
Yeah, that's part of the strength of Naya is just like, it's very good at using its mana all the time. I would say.
yeah, mana which
Ooh, yeah,
Plipster does
Flipster
not
missing another
have.
land.
Okay,
Yeah, honestly, if Flipster just concedes to this Wildekin Behemoth coming down, I will not blame them one bit.
yeah. This. I think
Like
this is taking
you
a
basically already
disfavored
lost the
matchup
game.
and putting the worst case scenario like flat on its face.
Yeah, like I think you basically already lost the game, but like this just pretty much seals it, you know.
On end is going to drop the seal in, and then I mean
Sure.
if you get this, ugh,
Oof.
I was gonna say
Eh.
if Plipster drew the third land there, I mean, playing the Silver Arm and then double blocking is
If he
not
drew the third
awful.
land, yeah, maybe. Actually, if he drew the third land and then Epid didn't draw the fifth land, then he actually wouldn't have anything that could be cast.
Oh yeah,
I
Alder P. I mean, could cast Burning Dawn
Yeah, but
on
you
the
couldn't
seal,
cast on the Silver Arm Spellblade. Okay, so there's a Neglected Nexus.
which Epid does Epid have wastes in their deck?
You, I would assume, like, if you're including Neglected Nexus, it's usually worth it to have at least one waste in your deck.
Hmm.
That's my opinion on it anyway. Let me double check. If it's my deck, yeah, it has waste in it.
Okay, so yeah,
I
okay,
don't know if
then you.
this isn't a carbon copy of my deck though, because I didn't run Cypher's Clan.
Hmm.
Okay,
It's
so
kind of
yeah, it
just
looks like
yeah. So I think you play the Burning Dawn here, and then
playing Burning Dawn here makes sense because you don't want to just randomly run your 5-drop into the seal approval, I imagine.
hmm
So you can just Burning Dawn seal, and then next turn you can have that out of the way for trying to resolve your 5-drop.
hmm
All
yeah,
right.
Plipster has zero counter magic for this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just think, honestly, if I'm Flipster, I'd probably just concede here.
Yeah, I think the Burning Dawn really seals it because now there's basically zero
I
way
think the
you're gonna.
game was over as soon as Wilderkin was resolved. Yeah, I don't
I mean,
know.
okay, well, yeah, okay, Plipster conceding there, and that was pretty painful. He did not see a single land outside of the opener. It's kind of the nightmare scenario. Um, but yeah, that is kind of why this matchup can be difficult for uh, Plipster. But you were also right about Plipster really needing at least one more land to actually capitalize and get on the board and actually manage to get under the deck instead of just interacting. So hopefully
Flipster's
game
deck
two.
generally wants to be playing as many lands as possible, I'd say. Because again, it's incredibly mana hungry, especially for a tempo deck.
But I also think that
Which
like
I think it does kind of qualify as a tempo deck, but yeah. Anyway, okay, so we can talk about sideboards a bit.
for sure.
Um,
Okay, so looking at Epid sideboard, what do you think, Dodger?
I don't really think you bring in anything. Maybe you bring in the Event Horizons.
Yeah, I think the Event Horizons are at least better than the Burning Dawns. I think the
Yeah, like Brain Dog isn't great, but still being able to go face like is fine. That's a char. It's a mana sink. You can mill it off Stoic Sentinel.
mhm,
Um, I think you probably find room for the Event Horizons in here. Uh, Maybe trim down on the Jade Champions. I think
that's
in
fair.
general, the higher cost cards are going to be a bit of a liability. You
Mhm,
don't mind having your curve stop at 4 with the Wilderkin Behemoth because that's usually enough to win the game anyway in
mhm,
this matchup. Like you don't need to go much bigger than that.
yeah,
Besides that, yeah, I think Actually, yeah, I'd say Event Horizons are a good idea. For Plipster's sideboard, I'm not sure. Like, maybe Barrier, because you know that they're gonna be bringing in more removal. Losei's Determination is pretty good too, I guess, because you're facing mostly creatures.
Yeah, I think Losei seems quite good here, at least from Plipster's end, to deal with some of the larger threats that Cursory Glance misses.
Okay, yeah, it looks like Plipster did bring it in.
Okay,
We're
we're
just
getting into the game
doing
next game.
mulligans now, yeah.
Okay. Oh wow, that's certainly a hand from Epid. I mean, I guess they're keeping.
It
They
was a
have you need
multi
mana to be able to
six,
cast
so
spells.
I think that you kind of have to keep this on.
Yeah, you have interaction. You have a turn two
Yeah, you have a
play.
removal spell. You have a dork. You can't really ask
It's
for much
not the
more.
it's not the end of the world. Meanwhile, Plipster's hand pretty
Plipster's hand looks
reasonable
pretty
again.
good.
I think
Yeah.
Tidepool Turtle is one of like is like your biggest haymaker in
I mean,
general
it's
and
basically a
especially in
reason to
this
play the
matchup.
deck. Yeah.
Yeah, the problem is the one card you don't want them to have is an on-curve Ferocious Flame.
Yeah. So like, if you put you're on the play, there's a school of thought where you're like, okay, I should just jam Tidepool Turtle on 2 and hope they don't have the flame.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's really a good answer to Tidepool Turtle on the play on turn 2 besides flame, because with the Event Horizon change, Flipster can just not put instant play, and then it's kind of like, oh, you don't have Event Horizon online in time.
Yep.
Okay, so Flipster's going for it. So this is kind of just a bad mate, pretty much.
In Plipster in chat, praise.
Uh,
Yeah, here Epid
yeah,
can just untap, play like Windbeaten Stones tapped, and then Ferocious Flame the turtle.
yeah. I mean, sometimes you just gotta hope they don't have it. I agree with Flipster's decision to run it out here, though.
And Epid
Okay.
should definitely main phase the flame. Do not let them untap to potentially have counter magic.
Yeah, I agree. And
And
there
yep,
it is.
main phase
Yep.
Ferocious Flame. And I guess the Neglected Nexus as another tapped land. So I think that
I think you run out Spellblade here.
you run out Spellblade, and
Yeah.
then hilariously it gets. No,
Well, so
actually,
if you're gonna try to ambush it with Elemental Surprise,
they can just
there's
discard.
a
Never
pretty
mind.
sizable chance you're not going to resolve this, right?
Hmm.
I think it's basically. I mean, we know it's not going to resolve, but we also know from Epid's perspective that it's not.
I
going
think
to
also
resolve.
like
So
forcing Plipster to tap out on their turn is still fine, and then you
I
just
actually think if I'm Epid, there's a decent argument for even not knowing what we know, or just running it out main phase
run out
and
the
then pulling
elemental
it back.
main phase.
Yeah. In that case, you could get blown out by getting lost. But
Yeah,
at least you still have
and I
the
think the
elemental in
problem is
play.
like if you do that, you also you. Oh yeah, no. Okay, you're saying run it out main phase and just don't attack. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then leave it back. But
Um,
then if you leave it back as a blocker, then Plipster just I guess has to discard a card to make it unblockable. But
yeah, that's better than nothing.
hmm
I mean, there you could also, as I said, get blown out by getting lost or the Embrace Unending Frost, the two like lockdown spells.
For sure.
Which is pretty unfortunate. Okay, so
So
we're
it depends on
seeing.
like what you're more worried about getting blown out by.
Yeah, so the Spellblight here is actually like I feel like Flipster's deck really lives and dies by being on the play, actually, because it
That's
basically
tempo.
relies on dropping one of these early snowballing threats and then just like hoping it doesn't get removed.
Hmm.
And because so many decks are just relying on a playset of Ferocious Flames to deal with early threats, like if you curve
Epid
into
playing the
them,
Uncanny Woodgast.
usually at least one of them is good.
Okay, that's interesting. I
Playing
guess
Woodgast here is
what it
interesting.
does do is it means that Epid has 5 mana next turn to pay 2 for bounce off, which doesn't matter because Plipster has the Losei's Determination anyways. But
I don't hate this play from Epid. I think that if you don't think there's a good chance that you can actually stop this from hitting, you should just take the hit and then develop your mana instead. So Epid's probably making the call. It's like, well, he probably has. It's like we can play into counter magic by trying to flesh out the elemental, or we can try to trade and potentially get blown out by getting lost. So it's like there's an equal chance he could have either of those things. So rather than coin flipping on that, you're just like, okay, we'll develop our mana, take the hit. Now we lose to a slightly lower portion of those things. Is kind of the idea.
fair. And I think Plipster was heavily considering main 2, do I play the Persuasive Orator? But really no point in doing so when you have
Yeah.
you
I
have
think you're
Seal
just
as an
kind of
instant
giving
speed
up a
threat
lot.
anyways.
Altar of Peak Terror is a pretty good draw in a vacuum, but it's just not likely to resolve. I think you just pass and try to hold up the Elemental Surprise. Try to get him to tap out a bit on his turn.
Pretty much. Like, ideally, you play Elemental of Surprise, Plipster counters it, and then you can slam Alder Peak next turn. The problem is Plipster has two.
He's going for the. Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay, no.
I feel like
all this.
the elemental of surprise is definitely being heavily broadcast here.
Yeah, this is like.
I mean, jamming seal of approval here is kind of free, no?
Yeah, there's really no reason. I think Plipster might be double checking the list. Yeah, it looks like probably was just double checking Epid's list to make sure that
Yeah, I think you're safe.
didn't get blown out by something. And seal of approval coming down. Epid says thinking.
I guess he's thinking about whether he wants to cast elemental of surprise in response.
That just seems wrong.
I don't really like.
That seems like the worst
Okay.
of both worlds.
Theoretically, if you were going to jam it main phase, casting it in response to your opponent's seal of approval is better than casting it main phase, right?
It's better, yes.
Okay, it's happening. Like, I don't know. I don't think this is the worst play, to be honest. I mean, it's not going to resolve, but I don't think this is the worst play.
Okay, it's true on both counts. Does force the Losei's determination out, so gonna get exiled.
Yeah, like
I think the main thing is it's kind of in an awkward spot where it's like,
I mean,
why are you casting this in response to seal when you have 2 mana to pay for seal anyways? So it doesn't actually really matter. It doesn't you're not taking a tangible hit by casting surprise when they attack. You know what I mean? And then that way you can potentially even eat the seal of approval.
Well, no, because wait, I can't think of why.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Just probably incorrect play, I think.
Mm-hmm. Obviously,
Okay,
there's always factors that, with perfect information, we might not be considering what Epid is thinking that Plipster could have, but yeah, I think in general that was maybe a little bit of a misstep, and Plipster, like again, seal of approval, bounce off, is if Epid keeps drawing expensive threats, this will kind of lock it down, and I think even like just having Persuasive Orator also as a backup, like, oh well, because my counter magic doesn't hit it, I'll just yoink it myself. Like nothing short of like even an actual Wilderkin here, you just double block and you still have like 2 to 3 more creatures, depending on whether you count the backside of bounce off as a creature. So
I think Plipster has ever. I think this Silver Arm Spellblade is just going to carry him to victory.
Yeah, Silver Arm's just really good. It's kind of terrifyingly good.
Getting lost after attacking, it was drawn after the.
It's pretty much free to run out right now, and puts them off 1 more mana. So what's the harm?
Yeah, I see that.
Hey, Eternal Wanderer. That's another card advantage engine in addition to Silver Arm Spellblade.
Sure is.
Okay, and there's one of the cited in Event Horizon.
That would have been really good, like 2 turns ago. At this point, I mean, we know that since Plipster has them, like you can't even cast it because the Seal of Approval is sitting there on board. I mean, I guess you can cast it. Which would you rather trade for the seal? Would you rather trade the Aldur or the Event Horizon?
Why does Event Horizon get traded? Oh, you mean like
if you're trying to hit the Silver Arm Spellblade with it, then you need to pay 4 mana.
Yeah, but you can't even because no one controls 3 like. So Silver Arm Spellblade is 3.
Oh yeah,
so
right.
What I guess what you could do if you're Epid is if you could try
confused by the Journey Checker.
That's fair. You could try to either wait on the Event Horizon, or you can run an Event Horizon now on the Seal to hopefully set up for a safe Alder Peak Terror next turn, and then try to use that to remove the Silver Arm Spellblade.
Yes, yeah.
I think it's kind of all dangerous from here, and there's very few wrong ways to do this. And I think waiting is fine, especially since you know that Plipster's going to pick up the Eternal Wanderer off of the.
Another seal coming out here.
Another seal coming out. Yeah.
Kind of rough. So, I mean, you can just event. Now there are 3.
I mean, again, but we know that it will get countered by the onboard seal of approval.
Yeah.
So there's really it's either I guess. The only possible, this is almost a flag bearer thing where it's like your only real target is seal of approval, no matter what you want to do.
I don't really like saying this on commentary, but this game's kind of doomed.
I mean, yeah, with the information we have, it's looking pretty not great. Okay, looks like
happening.
Epid's
you can't cast it on the Silver Arm. Okay,
no, it's running on the Seal. Yeah.
I guess I don't know why you need to do it in response.
Yeah, there's no real. Again, this is another play where it's just like,
It
I
feels like a bit of a strange timing window.
yeah.
Like it's not like a bad window. It's just like I don't really get why it's better than waiting a little bit longer.
Oh God, another piece of content. Like this is what you in this middle game. This is where you want to keep drawing gas.
Uh, People complain about can't be countered on big green daddies, but sometimes it's really what you need. I don't know.
I mean, yeah. Sometimes, because green don't be having that card draw to get to those to consistently get big green daddy, and so now they're stuck with two cards in hand and staring down an opponent with two counter spells and two other
To be fair,
interactive
green
permanents.
absolutely does get card draw.
That's fair. That's fair. But we don't talk about that development. But yeah, okay. So picks up the Eternal Wanderer off the journey.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of impossible to lose effective now. Like, just drop
Yeah.
Eternal Wonder and pass.
Like yeah, there's you just
I
I think
bel- I
I think
believe
Plipster's
that-
trying to see like can I kill next turn, but I think that like there's no safe way to set up a kill next turn.
You could tap 4 and take the Woodguest and still have 2 mana for a counterspell.
See, the thing is, if you tap 4
That's
and
like
take
7 damage. It doesn't really
yeah,
change
the thing is if you take the Woodgast, you're actually one off lethal, so you need to also play the Wanderer, but then that puts you off
It's like he's doing it.
counterspell mana. Okay, is at least going to get the Orator into the mix, grabbing the Woodgast. I mean, I don't hate this play, but I also just think that
Yeah,
it's like
it's fine
it feels
play.
kind of like whatever because like you're gonna win if you keep up your counter magic anyways. So why are you
I think
putting?
it's pretty free. Like, you're also denying them a mana. Pretty relevant when you have a bounce off in hand.
That's fair.
I don't know. I think this is, like, pretty fine.
Yeah, I don't hate it, but I think if I was in that position, I would be like, well, I'm winning this game anyways. Might as well just like not lose to anything.
Okay.
And yeah,
Yeah,
Alder
game's
Peak
over, I
is
think.
like known on board. It's like they have the counterspell on board. So yeah, as weird as it sounds, Epid like because Epid is actually has less lands on board than Plipster, but I think that
Well,
Epid
it's just because they're on the draw.
yeah no, but like what I was saying is that like I think weirdly Epid drew what like because Plipster's had the Silver Arm Spellblade drawing them more cards, so like drawing this many lands is like whatever, but outside of their opener, Epid has drawn like very few like relevant non. I think yeah, they've drawn three non-land cards
Oh,
outside of
yeah,
their
Epid
opener.
definitely got slightly mana flooded.
Yeah,
The number of non-land cards has been 4.
I think
Out of...
Event Horizon, Elemental Surprise,
There's
Alder
the
Peak
Elemental
Terror.
Surprise, Ferocious Flame, Alder Peak Terror.
No, Ferocious Flame was in the opener.
Oh, you're saying after the opener?
Yeah. They have 5 non-land cards.
Yeah,
in
I mean, you run this out
If you run this out,
into the seal of approval.
I mean, yeah, but Plipster's just gonna go for the
Like,
throw
well,
determination.
Alright.
Yeah. So sitting 1-1 right now. The problem is Epid is going to be on the play going into this game 3.
Yeah, as I said before, being on the play versus being on the draw is so massive in this matchup.
But we are
Definitely,
seeing that like Epid's
yeah.
deck does well. It did have kind of the perfect curve in game 1. Game 2, it kind of got stalled out and just it has a lot of pieces, but you have these pieces where like you want to draw them at specific times, and then you kind of don't have ways to ensure that consistency. So it's like, ugh.
I think I want to see. Let's see. I want to see the dragons come out. I think it. Not only is it pretty unlikely that you're going to resolve them, I think that they're usually win more. I think you want to go as low curve as possible.
I think that now that you know that Plipster's brought in the Loses, I actually don't hate bringing in the extra Amulet from the sideboard. Like,
I think Amaret's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Amaret a lot. I think 4 is so huge because being able to play it off a dork here means a lot. That's why I just think 5 is a bad mana cost for this.
For sure.
At least Jade Champion like trampled.
Oh my god! Well, here we go.
Too.
Turn 2 Stoic into turn 3 Wilderkin. This is the dream. The dream. You know, Plipster's sitting on a 1-lander that has a turn 2. Oh wait, no. Okay, Mulligans, but this one also has a turn 2 Tide Pool.
This is a good hand from Plipster, but it's gonna lose.
Is that I know it is guaranteed. Yeah, you can't attack. You can't attack the Tide Pool into the Wilderkin.
Yeah, I don't really see Plipster.
But I mean, if Wilderkin is kept on defensive duty, could that actually
Okay,
could
yeah, I
Plipster?
mean, okay, obviously Plipster can still win, but
Yeah, I'm just trying to think through like what Plipster's outs are. I guess it's just like yeah. I
I
guess it's
think
just.
the out is Epid doesn't find more threats. You develop your board.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well, actually, I think it's like as soon as Epid has a removal spell for Tidepool Turtle that resolves, it's like okay, Wilderkin can start smash and face.
yeah,
And yeah, so you get the dork out under the turn two counter magic, and this is why the play draw is so important. So Stoic Sentinel, kind of just amazing for any relatively slow deck, any mid-rangey deck.
yeah. I mean, just a very good mana dork.
Mm.
Being
On
a
curve body that also gives you card
yeah,
selection that ramps you, and is gonna drop the
being a
Uncanny
bear,
Woodcast and the land off the top. Makes sense.
basically never dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very good.
Flipster is gonna run out the
It's
turtle.
Plipster.
Yeah, you have to run out the turtle.
Yeah, I think with this deck you usually just have to jam the turtle onto. Like
Mm.
it's match dependent, of course, but yeah, you pretty much just always jam the turtle and pray.
Yeah. See now, if this was like blue-white experience, you could like they could slam Wilderkin Behemoth, and you could untap Helping Hand and still have a chance at the matchup.
Yeah,
But okay, Cyber's kind of Runic Sealer are kind of not what you want to be seeing right now, but they're not awful either. They're more
they're
threats.
they're bodies. I don't
They're
think you really
bodies.
care what they do.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest.
Fair. You put
I
them
don't
on
know.
the table.
Yeah, I mean, if you play them right now, you're trolling. Like
Oh
just
yeah,
cast them. It's not complicated.
just cast the Behemoth.
Yeah, okay.
Here it comes. That's that boy. Oh man. Hey, Plipster hit his land drop this time.
I don't think there's a reason to feel bad about it. Like just like
I think
it's a
Epid feels
vanilla
bad because
five
like
five.
this is like self-admittedly Plipster's worst nightmare. I don't even know that it's like a this is dumb on like a playing Magic level. This is like specifically for Plipster. This is like
Yeah,
oof ouch my bones.
yeah, I agree.
Okay, yeah. Plipster not able to attack
I
turtle
know some
again.
people are talking about potentially running like play the Mortal Fool as a sideboard answer, which would be pretty funny.
Yeah, that actually seems like pretty dope tech. I'm
Yeah,
pretty here for
it's
it.
not bad.
And like you said, like this compared to the average tempo deck, this one is not excessively more mana hungry, but it definitely still wants to hit those fours for like stuff like bounce off and stuff. So play the Mortal Fool is not out of its range by any
I would
means.
actually say this is the most mana hungry tempo deck I've ever seen.
You might be right.
Okay, so
Which is
you
surprising
could
given
fetch a
how many
waste
like
here.
one it has all the one mana deep tappers, it has all the two mana counter
Yeah.
spells. It's just that it has the bounce offs and the persuasive raiders get in there. Okay, so it looks like it's gonna route the arbiter first. Makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. You're just gonna determination that, sure.
And determination slightly relevant here. The XL coming in to stop
Exile
more
doesn't
Stoic
matter.
Sentinel fuel,
Yeah,
and then
it's another reason why Neglected Nexus is so good deck too, because fueling Sentinel is very real.
oh,
What's going on here?
is Epid actually gonna try to Runic Sealer here? Oh, I guess no, that makes 100% sense. What?
I mean,
Plipster only has
you
one
should
land.
guess it.
Yeah, Plipster only has one land. Duh, duh, duh.
I think just getting bodies is important.
Because then you become less reliant on Wilderkin Behemoth. As
Yeah.
I mean,
So
you
one thing you could do is just name Getting Lost and then attack with Behemoth.
no. I would think that you do it the other way, where you attack with Runic Sealer and just keep Behemoth back. Like you attack with
You can.
Sentinel and Sealer and
So
just
if
be
you're
like,
if you're scared of, so normally you could be like, okay, if I attack with Behemoth, I risk him tapping my Runic Sealer and hitting me and getting a turtle attack in, right, and getting the counter. But you can just name Getting Lost and reduce the chances of that happening by half.
that's fair, but it's still only a half chance. You have to do the 50-50 on whether you think it's
Yeah,
getting lost or what is the other
I don't
one?
know.
Embrace
Like,
Unending Frost.
so I mean, the other thing is like, even if Plipster does that, they just took 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're gonna take 5 again.
It looks like Runic Sealer is
I, I
hitting
think I
getting
think
lost.
if I'm Epid, I'm swinging 5 here. I don't know. I just like to push the pace of the game while I'm ahead in this case.
That's fair.
If you sit there like
And it's and
and
again,
just are too
it's
scared
not
of the
like
turtle
Plipster
attacking,
has a
yeah,
way to insta flip Tide Pool.
yeah,
So
exactly.
so if Epid does embrace Unending Frost or Runic Sealer, you're like, oh okay, I'll just these two turns I'll keep Wilderkin Behemoth back.
Like I can see why you wouldn't attack here, but I think you should
Well, Epid has
drop
gone to
it.
start of combat, so
Yeah, probably just consider it.
oh
Ooh,
nope.
okay, don't agree. Don't agree.
Well, looks like Plipster does top deck the Embrace Unending Frost. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I still think I was I still think that would have been a play. But whatever. So what we do have here is Epid will probably just be attacking with a Runic Sealer. All well and good. Just looking to stall out the game.
Or well, stalls out the game, but also has 3 damage each turn. Not bad.
Ooh, it's a good card to draw.
Protoplasmera. This is a pretty filthy.
I mean, it's not going to resolve
because Losei's Determination.
But the correct play is just to cast it.
Yeah, because you can always
maybe X equals 2.
Because once it's on the board, you just keep pumping it.
Yeah, I think this is a card that should be seeing more play, honestly. Especially with the meta becoming less combo heavy.
Yeah, I think now that the meta is maybe not slowing down because aggro still exists, but it's more about playing to the board. Protoplasmera is quite strong.
Yeah, it's just really flexible, and being able to.
Yeah, I think the main person who's been playing it in this format prior to this GP was pretty much you in the inaugural event on GR.
Well, I ran it in my old Naya deck too.
No, yeah, that's what I mean. That you were the main person running this.
I feel like if you've ever played a mid-range mirror where Protoplasmera gets to stay on the board, your opponent is never winning combats, like ever. And then the longer they sit there, it just like kind of draw you cards or
and just like getting you that it gives you card advantage plus board advantage, which is kind of like the two things you want in mid-range. So, of course, it's a little steep in terms of cost, but like
it definitely. I remember, I think before we launched the format, the +1/+1 counter ability used to be 3 mana.
Oh, that sounds very not okay.
I think we could have played with it, but it would have been a lot more ubiquitous, and it would have been a lot more like the games where it just like took over the board would be a lot more frequent. So I think it's in a good spot.
Yeah, but we won't get to see any of its coolness this game. Protoplasmera getting countered by Losei's, and Epid attacking in with Stoic and Runic Sealer, getting in for 5, and putting a 4-turn clock on Plipster.
Okay, so Epid has basically identified themselves as the control player in this instance.
Well, I mean, they're still, I guess. I don't know how much.
Well, just because you're attacking doesn't mean you're not the control.
I know, but like I don't know how much. Here's my 5/5. Look upon it in despair as being the control, I suppose. I guess I think they're playing cautiously.
I just mean as in the opposite of beatdown. Like you've read Who's the Beatdown, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plipster not even going to embrace unending frost the Runic Sealer. I'm kind of surprised by that.
I don't know.
Because that way you still have mana for like a bounce off or a seal of approval.
Or it gains you. Oh well, Ferocious Flame here probably means the game's just over.
Yeah. Now, once Turtle isn't a threat, it's just, geez.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think the turn 3 Behemoth is pretty freaking hard for Plipster to beat, especially if... It's like, even if Epid didn't play it, like, the way I would have, it doesn't really matter, as long as they don't, like, completely flood out. And Plipster
Epid's tonking real hard. Looks like, are they going to just swing out? They should just swing out right now.
Plipster does have access to negate in the board.
That is
like at this point.
I feel like if you bring in negate in this matchup though, it's a little troll.
At this point, Turtle getting a counter doesn't matter. Plipster's taking 10 damage.
So I think Plipster's gonna flash and seal and eat Stoic Sentinel probably.
I think what he's gonna do is double block the rune. That's what I would do.
If he double blocks the seal, I like that's definitely a valid play, but also you lose Turtle, and I think if you lose Turtle, you lose this game. Okay, yeah.
I mean, now you get 2 for 1. So.
Yeehaw. Yeah, I will be very surprised if Plipster doesn't just concede on the spot right here. Yeah. Whew. And with a 2-1 finish, Epid takes it over Plipster. And I think that it really, I think it comes down to like that matchup is so fraught, or like it's so dependent on did the Naya player draw the Behemoth.
It's the kind of matchup that's basically decided on 2, I feel like.
Yeah. Or decided on turn 3 if they have a dork, turn 4 if they don't.
Well, it's like, can whoever's on the play establish their snowballing board? You know what I mean? Like, that's just the nature of it. I feel like many matchups where Plipster plays, that's just kind of the nature of the deck.
Yeah, because with lots of things, Plipster is just like again, if Epid doesn't have Behemoth, you just go Turtle or Spellblade, tap down anything and everything you ever put down, counter your one scary thing, which is Alder Peak, and then I just win.
That's why I think that people overrate Naya in the matchup just because Wilderkin is so hard to beat, but like, they don't always draw it. They just happen to draw it in the 2 games that they won.
That's fair. But I
And
think
yeah,
that the other thing is like Epid still, even if Epid doesn't draw the Wilderkin, they still have some tools to mitigate Plipster's threat. Like they still have
I
removal.
don't think so. Like Ferocious Flame is really good, but
I think Ferocious Flame and Event
besides that,
Horizon are both strong. Burning Dawn,
see,
kind of sad.
I wasn't impressed by Event Horizon. Not being like Event Horizon is very hard to answer the threats that matter on the turns there. You know what I mean?
Kind of, but I also like.
Because Plipster's deck isn't high in permanence, and Epid's deck isn't developing very quickly either. So that's just my opinion on it. But it's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing. hmm Yeah, and speaking of better than nothing, Plipster is definitely still not out of the tournament yet. They think they're 1 win, 1 loss. So as long as they win their next 2 rounds, they can still make top cut. Meanwhile, Epid with a 2-0 is going to be moving on to be one of the 8 players who next round has a chance of guaranteeing a spot in the top X cut. So,
Sweet. Yeah.
yeah. Do you have
Luck.
anything else before we wrap it up?
I don't know. Tournament's been cool so far. I like where the meta's at.
Yeah, I think we have, 6 out of 8 of the decks that we're seeing in contention for top X next round are all com- at least new to tournament brews. Might have been run in leagues before, but
It's neat.
I think that's super cool.
Yeah.
And
It's
I think
interesting how
an even
it
greater number in this tournament are
feels
completely
like
new as
Big
well.
Red is not doing well. That's just me.
I haven't been keeping track, but yeah, we only have one big red deck. That's 2-0
Like
right now.
it's by far the most popular archetype, but I haven't seen very many of the people playing
Yeah,
it
I
win.
think it had like a big presence in the top 8 last time, and I
Yeah.
think people, and it's also it's very much a, I think it has like the fun play pattern of like sometimes I just kill you dead, and sometimes I get to
It's
slowly excruciatingly kill you dead.
it's
Like kill,
simple, it's powerful. The cards it plays are cool.
you get to do, and
It
you
gets
get to do
to
big magic as well, which is like
yeah.
people like standard for big magic.
Also,
So
people have always loved Big Red, but it's rarely ever viable. So I think the fact that it's viable here means people are gonna jump to play it.
mhm. Yeah, we'll just have to see how it does
Yeah.
in future rounds. But yeah, until next time, this is Caillou and Dodger signing off.